The Knicks just pulled off a shocking move, landing Karl-Anthony Towns, and they may not be done. Now Mitchell Robinson could be headed out the door. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe, getting our subscribers up heading into the NBA season. You know, we're going to keep you up to date on everything going on around the NBA. All right, so Mitchell Robinson, now the longest tenured Knick, could be on the way out the door. I want to talk about why he could be on the way out the door, what the Knicks will be trying to do in this type of a trade, and where he could potentially land. So here's what's going on. According to Chris Persianen, the New York Knicks are receiving and taking calls on center Mitchell Robinson, their longest tenured player. Sources familiar with the situation say the likelihood of a deal is unknown, but the team seems to be willing to make another move after the blockbuster ad of Karl Towns. Okay, so Mitchell Robinson potentially on the market. If the Knicks do decide we're going to make another big move after adding Mikal Bridges, after adding Karl-Anthony Towns, the longest tenured Knick, see you later. Mitchell Robinson on the way out the door. What could they potentially be looking to do here? Well, there's a number of teams that would be interested. And the first two that come to mind that could be interested in a Mitchell Robinson trade, it's the Los Angeles Lakers and the New Orleans Pelicans. Both teams very clearly need a center. It was three teams. It was the Knicks, the Lakers, and the Pelicans. The Knicks, they got their guy. They got Karl-Anthony Towns. That's the guy that they're going to be putting in the middle. The Knicks have their guy now. The Lakers, the Pels still badly need a center. Right now, the Pelicans could wind up having to start 6'8" Daniel Tice at center, who I like a lot, but he's not a starting center in the NBA. The Lakers never found that bruising big that Anthony Davis has been asking for literally for years, that JJ Redick has talked about, a number of players have talked about. They still haven't added that piece. So those are a couple of teams that make a lot of sense to go try to get Mitchell Robinson. Now you look at his contract, $14.3 million. That's not that difficult to move. Now under the new CBA, it's difficult to make trades in general, especially two teams that are above that first tier apron, which is a pesky thing. I think the NBA went too far. They overcorrected. They made it too difficult for teams that are above the first tier apron to make deals. Make that a second tier apron punishment, because what happens is neither team can take back more salary than they send out in a trade, which all but makes it impossible for two teams that are above the first tier apron to directly trade with each other. But you know what? This much money on the books, $14.3 million. All right. You can get creative. You can work around. Look, the Knicks are getting creative just to land Karl-Anthony Towns. They're signing players just to put into a trade. Get creative. Get a third team involved. The Lakers, the Pelicans, I think they're teams that could get it done. Now, the Pelicans in particular, maybe it's a little bit difficult just because if you go look at the Pels roster, who are they going to want to give up in order to get Mitchell Robinson? Well, I'm sure they would probably be interested in giving up CJ McCollum, but who wants to take him on right now? The $33.3 million. And then they don't want to part with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy. They don't want to part with. In fact, part of the reason why they want to move Brandon Ingram is because they want to give more minutes to Trey Murphy. So they're not going to move him. Jordan Hawkins, young, talented player. They're not going to want to move him. So you start to get in a difficult situation when it comes to actually salary matching, because all the guys that you would need to put into a deal that have salaries big enough to make the math work, they really would not want to move on from. So maybe it's a little bit tricky with the Pels, but in general, $14 million under contract for Mitchell Robinson, that's beyond reasonable. When you look at what he's done, I mean, the guy is an elite, one of the very best in the NBA on the offensive glass, rebounding the basketball. Look at this, 4.6, 4.5, 4.1. That's 3 seasons in a row of more than 4 offensive rebounds per game average for Mitchell Robinson. That's incredible. He is a talented rebounder. The problem is, it's that games column. Look at that. 31 games played this last season. And that brings us to the why part. Why would the Knicks be doing this? Because look, I do think there would be teams that would be interested in Mitchell Robinson if he were healthy. He's not. That's the problem. Why would the Knicks be doing this? This, to me, if the Knicks are really considering trading Mitchell Robinson, it should be a bit of a red flag for teams. Now, he is under contract. It's not all about this season. We saw Steven Adams get traded last season knowing that he wasn't going to play last season. He went to Houston. They knew he wasn't going to play last season, so it's not impossible. But when you look at Mitchell Robinson's deal, $13 million next season, okay, a team could trade for him for next season. But the rumor is, Shams Charania just mentioned this on Jerry Ferreira's podcast, that the Knicks fear Mitchell Robinson's going to be out like 3 months, which means you might not see him until 2025. And then, given him his injury history, how confident are you, if you're the Knicks, that he's going to get back and he's going to stay back and he's going to be healthy and stick around? So if I'm an opposing team, that's a little bit of a red flag here. I like Mitchell Robinson a lot, but the fact that the Knicks are considering trading him, that's a bit of a red flag, because this is a Knicks team that wants to win right now. Very clearly, they're all in on winning right now this season. Give them credit. They've made the moves. They've gone out there. They've done what they needed to do to add the pieces that they feel like can allow them to contend for a championship. So why move on from Mitchell Robinson, particularly when you just got a guy in Karl-Anthony Towns who actually could fit pretty well with Robinson? In fact, Cat might be better suited than almost any other big in the NBA to play with Mitchell Robinson, because he can shoot the three. He can still space the floor. Karl-Anthony Towns' skill set gives you the ability to run a Twin Towers lineup. Do you really want to run Cat out there with Jericho Sims, who's fine, but he's not the caliber of player Mitchell Robinson is? So probably not. So if you trade Mitchell Robinson, unless you're getting another big back, which most likely the teams that are interested in Robinson aren't going to be sending back a big, then you are punting on the ability to run two bigs together. In the playoffs, what you need is versatility. It's part of what Karl-Anthony Towns provides. You need versatility to run whatever kind of system is going to beat the opponent across the floor from you. And you're going to take away one of those options if you trade away Mitchell Robinson. So again, this doesn't necessarily make sense from the Knicks' perspective unless they're not confident that Mitchell Robinson is going to be available anyway. If that is the case, then trading him makes a lot of sense. But then if I am an opposing team, if I'm the Lakers, if I am the Pelicans, if I'm anybody else that's looking to trade for Mitchell Robinson, the fact that he's on the market should make you ask, why? What's going on health-wise that would make the Knicks consider giving him up, given that just adding Karl-Anthony Towns, yes, swapping out Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo for Karl-Anthony Towns, that adds another big to your mix, to your rotation. But that doesn't necessarily mean you go from being thin in the middle after losing Isaiah Hartenstein to having a bunch of depth, to feeling like, oh, Mitchell Robinson is now superfluous. Now we can just move on from him. No, unless you feel like he's not actually going to help you this season. So what are the Knicks really up to? Will they move on from Mitchell Robinson? Ultimately, if they want to, I think the math is not that difficult to work out. I think they can find a trade. The challenge is, what are you actually going to get in return? And our teams, when they talk with the Knicks, when the Knicks are making those calls about Mitch Robinson, when teams are calling the Knicks, what are those teams thinking? Are those teams giving lowball offers to the Knicks because they got to stop and say, wait, he actually would fit pretty well on your team? Why exactly are you wanting to move this guy? I think that will be an interesting factor in these negotiations, because once again, the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson, it's actually a really nice luxury to have, to be able to run two physical bigs. I don't know how physical Cat necessarily is these days, but two bigs that can hit the glass, that can protect the rim. One of them can stretch the floor. That's an enticing option to have. Not one that you have to use every single night, but that's an enticing option to have if you're the Knicks. And if you decide to move Mitchell Robinson, that's gone. That could be a mistake, unless you don't think Mitchell Robinson's actually going to be healthy. But everybody, let me know what you think. Should the Knicks make another move here if they believe Mitchell Robinson's not going to be available till January and they've got health concerns anyway? Should the Knicks try to flip Mitchell Robinson, take advantage of a market that frankly has been much stronger for centers than we've seen in years past? Centers have gotten paid this year. Teams have been struggling to find the bigs they've been looking for. Should the Knicks try to take advantage of that market? And will opposing teams stop and ask that question? Why exactly are the Knicks moving on from him? Is that enough of a red flag to suggest that maybe they shouldn't offer too much. Again, give me your thoughts on this situation in the comments down below. Appreciate all of you who have subscribed recently. Obviously, our subscribers, our interest in this channel have gone through the roof. We could not be more excited about this coming NBA season and everything that we're going to be able to bring you here on the Basketball Bulletin. So hit that subscribe button. And again, let me know your thoughts. The Knicks potentially moving on now from Mitchell Robinson. Is it going to happen? Fire it up in the comment section. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.